Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I'm getting a tremendous echo here. Oh, okay, I think you fixed it. My guest today, folks, on the Free American Voice of Liberty is Ron Branson. Now, Ron Branson started and runs jail for judges. And what he's put out is the Judicial Accountability Initiative Law. Jail is a single-issue national grassroots organization designed to end the rampant and pervasive judicial corruption in the legal system of the United States. Jail recognizes this can be achieved only through making the judicial branch of government answerable and accountable to an entity other than itself. At this time, it isn't, resulting in the judiciary's arbitrary abuse of the doctrine of judicial immunity, leaving the people without recourse when their inherent rights are violated by judges. Hello, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Well, it's wonderful to have you on, sir. We've met many times over the preparedness expos and traveling around the country, and you were active back in the 90s, trying to get this done. And our judicial system has been pretty corrupt ever since the Federal Reserve took over, don't you think? Or did it extend beyond that?
Yes, I talked to a group that was assembled together, and I addressed them and I asked, how many of you believe that the Federal Reserve is unconstitutional? And everyone in the room raised their right hand, the hand in the air, and I said, well, why don't we just go into the federal court and challenge the constitutionality and destroy it, bring it down? I gave a little dramatic pause, and I said, well, the fact is, it has been challenged in federal court. But every occasion in which a person has gone into federal court challenging the existence of the Federal Reserve as being unconstitutional has been overthrown by our federal judiciary. They never wish to address the issue that Congress shall coin money and regulate the value thereof. So consequently, when I was speaking then, I said about approximately 83 years since the Federal Reserve has been in existence, and still going strong today. And in fact, even this very hour, our president, illustrious president, so-called, is seeking to the chairman of the Federal Reserve to bail us out of this dilemma, financial dilemma we're in.
Let's see. That's they say if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. I mean. To ask, does this mean, Ron, that the judiciary here, the one branch of our three branches of government, is basically corrupt and been bought out by these feds? I know that judges, if they find a person, let's say somebody's coming before them on a tax case, and if the judges rule against them in favor of the government actually gives them money, something like $20,000 from different organizations.
I think that these judges actually receive bonuses behind behind the scenes, behind the walls. The bankers know that they can control the federal judiciary. At least 5 of the justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, they know that they have the entire country hamstrung. The question has been raised, who is in more power, the judiciary or the Federal Reserve? Well, the fact is, we aren't going nowhere so long as we have a Federal Reserve. But the question is, how do we abolish that Federal Reserve? It is actually quite simple, but, people, they want to bring down the Federal Reserve by typical means. And I have a plan that we can bring down the Federal Reserve bank system. And that is, our Constitution says no state shall make anything other than gold and silver coin a tender payment of debt. That's Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. And if we got jail for judges passed, it would put that question before a grand jury on whether the state can collect anything other than gold and silver coin as payment and debt. And it would cause the legislature of whatever state jail passed to have to bring a lawsuit against the Federal Reserve Bank and against the U.S. Congress, because the state would have no way to collect a tax at all. They couldn't collect tax for a license plate, the driver's license, property taxes, sales taxes, or anything. They would go bankrupt until the Federal Reserve was abolished. We obeyed the Constitution. No state shall make anything other than gold and silver coin a tender payment of debt.
Well, even this gold thing is kind of rigged. The Rothschilds set the price of gold, and when Roosevelt ordered the American people to turn in all their gold back in '33, I believe it was, he gave it to the banks, and then they immediately doubled the price of gold. And so
Go ahead. What they did is they had artificially low, so that everybody would turn in their gold, and they paid them at their artificially low price. And after they collected in all the gold they thought they were going to get, they made it illegal, own gold, and after they collected all the gold they thought they were going to get, they released it to go to a standard price. You see, we always measure everything against gold. We say in the market, the price of gold went up today, or yesterday the price of silver went up. Well, the fact is, the gold and the silver are the standard, and everything by which you buy gold or silver is change the relationship to the standard. For instance, we don't measure rulers or yardsticks. We measure with rulers and with yardsticks. We determine how long something is by using the yardstick. But we have this illusion somehow that the yardstick today has 38 inches, and yesterday only had 35 inches. This is what's going on, an illusion. I oftentimes make an illustration of what's going on is they're convincing everybody that when you walk into a building on the ground floor, you get in the elevator and you push the button and go to the 10th floor. What is really happening is the building is going down 10 floors, you're walking out on the first floor. Everything is a lie, an illusion, smoke and mirrors. Everything in our civilization is based on a lie and a deception. Gold does not go up, silver does not go down. It is stationary. Everything that you buy gold with fluctuates. Now, if I bought a house in 1980, how is it worth more 20 years later? Because everything depreciates. Wood gets old, rotted, things start deteriorating, the roof starts to leak. Why is it 3 times the value than it was you bought it 20 years earlier? Well, that's only an illusion. It isn't any more value. The house is not bigger. It's not stronger. It's not made of any more substance that makes it any more valuable than it was 20 years ago, but yet we say it's 3 times the value. And we get taxed on that 3 times the value because we made this great profit. Well, how do you get the idea that 20 years later, something you bought has gained a profit which you owe a tax on? Why everything in this country is a total, absolute illusion.
Yes, sir, it sure is. You know, now, I hope I'm not getting out of your range of expertise, but I've asked myself many times, I'm just a person. We're just citizens out here, and I've done a tremendous amount of research. I know about the drug smuggling. I know George Bush and Bill Clinton were involved in the drug smuggling. I met Barry Seal, who flew the drugs from Panama to. And why isn't the FBI? Why isn't the Secret Service? Why isn't the CIA working for the American people? It seems like they're all working for a government that we never voted for. We voted. We wanted a. I said I'm not anti-government, man. I'm the most pro-government guy you want. If the government we're talking about is a republic guaranteed us by the Constitution, a constitutional republic. But why aren't the police arresting anybody? The only people that are going to jail. Go ahead.
I have a little more basic question. My question is, where in the Constitution, since it's a limited powers of government, where in the Constitution does it authorize the creation of an FBI or a DEA or all of these federal police agencies? I believe that 95% of all the government isn't really authorized to exist. And yet we say, well, we need this government. Somebody said that, if we did what you said and we didn't collect all these taxes, what could we do to keep government? Government would collapse. And I said rhetorically, I said, gee, that's interesting. I said, what would we do without all this government beating down our neck and telling us what to do, when we can do it, and how often we can do it? And he looked at me and he said, gee, I never thought of it that way. We all have the thinking, the illusion, or the belief that somehow we have to support all this government. So when we say, why don't these government agencies do this and do that, my question is well, what authority is there for this agency to exist in the first place?
Well, people have been trying to do something. There was the idea of grand juries, convening grand juries around the country, and basically that's what Pastor Manning did up there in Harlem with Obama. But there was no enforcement for this. The DAs are being controlled, and the district attorneys and the federal prosecutors, they're in line for that job as a judge. The judge is getting paid basically under the table by different organizations for all the guilty pleas, and our prisons have been turned into private profit-making prisons. The people that we've got over 2 million people in jail, 1 in every 31, and we talk about the communist China and their slave labor. We've got more people in jail, more of our citizens in jail than Red China, Ron.
That is correct. Let me point out something for the listeners here. Our founding fathers, they were good men, and they sought to establish a constitution that would make a limited powers of government. But I have to tell you, I spoke on this subject back in October, and there was a DVD that was made of it that's available out there. We have Article 1, which is the legislature. It gives the authorization for the existence of Congress. And it identifies the qualifications for the congressmen and the senators. We have all the details of the who, the what, the when, and the where. the how. In Article 2, we have the office of president. We have the details, the who, what.
All right, hold on just a minute, Ron. Hang on a minute. I think we got a commercial coming up here.
Okay, bye.
We'll be right back here.
Life and precious liberty, the pursuit of happiness. On these we now take aim and set our sights. Can you handle the truth?
The U.S. dollar is in so much trouble. According to the international forecaster Bob Chapman, he says the dollar in 2010 lost 23% of its value. Silver is one of the smartest things you can get to make sure that you are ready for whatever the economy may do in 2011 or 2012. Call Paul Drockton. His phone number 330-636-6292. Tell Paul that CJ sent you. Getting a hold of this is your way of getting prepared for whatever the economy may do, whatever the dollar will do, as the financial collapse continues to happen here in America. Ben Bernanke says a slow collapse is what they want. Tim Geithner says that America is insolvent. Getting silver is one of the best things you can do to get ready for whatever the dollar will do, whatever happens with the economy in America. Call Paul at 330-636-6292. Tell Paul you want some silver. Tell him that CJ sent you. Again, 330-636-6292.
The views and opinions expressed on this network by the host and their guests do not necessarily reflect the views of Liberty Broadcasting Network, its sponsors, affiliates, or hosts.
Jim Phillips, he's a talk show host that joins RJ every Monday. He swears by Jim's Jungle Juice as his way of going camping and taking food with him so he doesn't have to start a fire. This wheatgrass juice with barley and spearmint is an awesome way to take a spoonful or two, mix it with a glass of water, and it's a meal. Wheatgrass and barley and mint, an all-natural process where it's grown on 8,000 acres of land without any chemicals, without any pesticides. This is on the shelves in California. This live wheatgrass instant juice. You can get it for just $20 a jar. In California, it's on the fancy shelves for $30 a jar. It's 90 days worth of meals available to you for $20 a jar, plus $6 a jar for shipping. Call 435-283-3733. That's Jim's Jungle Juice or the Real Live Instant Juice. It's food storage. It's a meal in a jar available to you for just $20 plus $6 for shipping. Call 435-283-3733.
Thank you for listening.
This is an emergency alert. People don't die of H1N1 infection. They die from system-wide intoxication and toxic shock. Doctors call it the cytokine storm following infection and immune hyperstimulation. Vaccines with immune stimulants or toxic drugs chemicalize your body, adding to your death risk. Prevent death and reverse diseases from infections, vaccinations, and drug toxicity. Call this number to get my free special report about the flu and what to do to save lives, maybe even your own. I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. Order Zeolife, the world's most powerful broad-spectrum detoxifier, immune system guard, and vaccine cleanse. Avoid vaccinations and drugs. Use Zeolife and oxysilver hydrosol instead to detox and degerm your body. Stop the shock of toxicity and preventable deaths. Call 1-888-KO-GERMS. That's 1-888-KO-GERMS. Or visit zeolife.net and oxysilver.net and order your free report and package special.
It's the American way. Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist, and the eagle will fly, and that's gonna be hell when you hear Mother Freedom start ringing her bell, and it'll be
All right, we're back, and I'm talking with Ron Branson. Jail for judges. The link's right there on my site. And Ron, I just made a mention in the chat room, one of the chat rooms, about we need the 13th Amendment. It seems to me that these attorneys who grow up to be the judges after they've convicted the right amount of people and supplied enough people for these private prison, profit-making prisons, you know, they're standing in line to be the judge. So this whole, and then they go on to be politicians and elected officials, and they have infiltrated the